Museveni, just as he promised yesterday while meeting the NRM parliamentary caucus of this new term, he has released the list of cabinet ministers and state ministers to serve with him in this term of office 2021-26. And he says in the first paragraph that I hereby inform the country that by virtue of the authority given to the President of Uganda by Article 1082, 108A Clause 1, 113 Clause 1 and 114 Clause 1 of the 1995 Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, I hereby appoint H.E. the Vice President, the Right Honourable Minister, Honourable Cabinet Ministers and other ministers as indicated below. The list goes as follows. 1. Her Excellency the Vice President, President Museveni has appointed Honorable Jessica Alupo, who is a retired major of the UPDF, as Vice President of the Republic of Uganda. The Right Honorable Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business in Parliament is the Honorable Robina Nabanja. First Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for East African Community Affairs is the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, I beg your pardon, who is former Speaker of Parliament. The second Deputy Prime Minister and Deputy Leader of Government Business is Honorable General Moses Ali. Third Deputy Prime Minister and Minister without portfolio is Honorable Lukia Nakadama. Minister of Education and Sports is Honorable Janet Kataha Museveni. Minister Office of the President, that is presidency, is Miss Mariam Doka Babalanda. Minister Office of the President, Security, Honorable Jim Muhwezi. Minister Office of the President, serviced by the State House, Controller in charge of Science, Technology and Innovation is Dr. Musenero Monica. Minister for Kampala, Capital City Affairs and Metropolitan Affairs, Hajat Misi Kabanda. Minister Office of the Prime Minister, General Duties is Right Honorable Kasule Lumumba. Government Chief Whip is Honorable Tayebwa Thomas. Honorable Tayebwa Thomas is Government Chief Whip. Honorable Onek Hillary is the new Minister, Office of the Prime Minister for Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees. Honorable Maria Goretti Kitutu is Minister for Karamoja Affairs. Minister for Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries is Honorable Frank Tumwebaze. Minister, and that is Attorney General, is Mr. Chiriowa Chiwanuka. Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs is Honorable Vincent Sempi Jabamulangachi. Minister of Energy and Mineral Development is Honorable Ruth Nankabirwa. Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development is Honorable Matia Kasaija. Minister of Foreign Affairs is the Honorable Jeje Odongo. Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development is Honorable Betty Yamongi. Minister of Health is Dr. Jen Acheng. Minister of Information, Communications, Technology and National Guidance is Dr. Chris Badiomunsi. And Minister of Internal Affairs is Honorable Kahinda Otafide. Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs is still pending. Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development is the Honorable Judith Nabakova. Minister for Local Government is Honorable Raphael Majezi. Minister for Public Service is Honorable Muruli Mukasa. The President has appointed Honorable Tom Butime as Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities and appointed Mr. Francis Mwebesa as Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. Minister for Water and Environment is Honorable Cheptoris Mangusho. Minister of Works and Transport is General Edward Katumba Wamala. Ministers of State, Office of the President has Minister of State, Office of the President, Economic Monitoring, Honorable Peter Ogwang. Minister of State, Office of the President, Ethics and Integrity, Honorable Akelo Rose. Office of the Vice President has Minister of State, Office of the Vice President, Honorable Mutasingwa Diana Nankunda. Office of the Prime Minister has Minister of State, Office of the Prime Minister, Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, Honorable Anyakun Esther Davinia. Honorable Kuyuchwiny Grace Freedom is Minister of State, Office of the Prime Minister, Northern Uganda, and Honorable Agnes Nandutu, a new MP, is Minister of State for Office of the Prime Minister, Karamoja Affairs. Minister, Office of the Prime Minister, Minister of State, Office of the Prime Minister, Luweero Triangle, is Alice Kaboyo. Luweero Triangle, Rwenzori Region, Miss Alice Kaboyo. And Minister of State, Office of the Prime Minister, Bunyoro Affairs, is Honorable Namuyangu Kacha Jennifer. Minister of State, Office of the Prime Minister, Teso Affairs, is Honorable Dr. Ongalo Obote. We go to Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. The state ministers there. State Minister for Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Agriculture, Honorable Chakulaga Fred Wino. Minister of State for Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Animal Industry, the Honorable Bright Ramidama. Minister of State for Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Honorable Adoa Helen. Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, we have Deputy Attorney General as Honorable Kafuzi Jackson. Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs, there's Minister of State for Defense and Veteran Affairs, that is Honorable Oboth Jacob Maxson. Minister of State for Defense and Veteran Affairs specifically, is Honorable Oleru Huda. Ministry of East African Affairs, the State Minister for East African Affairs as Mr. Magode Ikuya. Then Ministry of Education and Sports, Minister of State for Education and Sports, Higher Education, Honorable Dr. Muyingo John Chrysostom. Minister of State for Education and Sports, Primary, Dr. Honorable Moriku Joyce Kaduku. Minister of State for Education and Sports, Honorable Obua Dennis Hamson. Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, State Ministers are State Minister for Energy and Mineral Development, Energy, Honorable Okasai Sidronius Opolot. Minister of State for Energy and Minerals is Honorable Peter Lokaris. Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Minister of State for General Duties in the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Honorable Henry Musasizi. Minister of State for Finance, Planning, Honorable Amos Lugolobi. Minister of State for Finance, Privatization and Investment, Honorable Evelyn Anite. Minister of State for Finance, Micro Development, Honorable Cheyune Haruna Kasolo. Minister of State for Gender, Labor and Social Development, Honorable Helen Asamo, Labor and Social Development for Disability. Then Minister of State for Gender, Honorable Gidudu Mafabi, Minister of Labor, Gender and Social Development, in charge of the elderly. Minister of Health, the President has appointed State Minister for Health, General Duties as Honorable Bangirana Kawoya. Minister of State for Health, Primary Health Care, Honorable Margaret Muhanga. Minister of Information, Communication Technology and National Guidance, the President has appointed Minister of State for Information, Communication Technology and National Guidance as Miss Joyce Sebugwao. Ministry of Internal Affairs, Minister of State for Internal Affairs, General David Muhozi. Yes, Ministry of Internal Affairs, Minister of State for Internal Affairs, General David Muhozi. Ministry of Kampala, Capital City and Metropolitan Affairs, Minister of State for Kampala, Capital City and Metropolitan Affairs, Mr. Kabuye Chofatogabye. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we have State Minister for Foreign Affairs, International Affairs, Honorable Orie Mokelo. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Regional Affairs, Mr. John Mulimba. Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, Minister of State for Gender and Culture, Honorable Peace Mutuzo. Minister of State for Gender, Youth and Children Affairs, Honorable Nyirabashisi Sarah Mateke. Minister of State for Gender, Employment and Industrial Relations, Honorable Okelo Engola. Minister of State for Gender, Disability Affairs, Honorable Helen Asamo. Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, the Ministers of State there are Minister of State for Trade, Cooperatives, Honorable Gume Frederick Ngobi. Minister of State for Trade, Industry, Honorable Bahati David. Minister of State for Trade, Honorable Harriet Ntabazi. Ministry of Water and Environment, the Ministers of State there are Minister of State for Water, Environment is Honorable Beatrice Anyuar. Minister of State for Water, Honorable Aisha Sechindi. Ministry of Works and Transport. The Ministers of States are Minister of State for Works and Transport, Works, Honorable Musa Echweru. Minister of State for Works, Transport, Honorable Byamuka Mafred. Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development. The Minister of State for Lands, Housing and Urban Development, particularly housing, is Honorable Namuganza. Minister of State for Lands, Urban Development is Honorable Obiga Kanya. Minister of State for Lands is Mr. Sam Mayanja. Ministry of Local Government. The Minister of State for Local Government is Honorable Victoria Rusoke. Ministry of Public Service. The Minister of State for Public Service is Grace Mary Mugasa. Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. Minister of State for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities is Honorable Martin Mugara. Special Envoy, Right Honorable Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, Special Envoy for Special Duties, Office of the President. Senior Presidential Advisors, number 1 is Honorable Amelia Chambade, Senior Presidential Advisor on Industries. Number 2 is Honorable Betty Kamya, Senior Presidential Advisor on Lands. Professor Ephraim Kamuntu, Senior Presidential Advisor, Economic and Manifesto Implementation. Honorable Sarah Kanyike, Senior Presidential Advisor, Kampala Affairs. Honorable General Eli Tumwine, Senior Presidential Advisor on Security and the NRM Secretariat. Honorable Richard Todwong is the new Secretary General of the NRM. Honorable Rose Namayanja is the Deputy Secretary General of the NRM. We'll keep you posted on the new developments as everything will be unfolding in terms of this appointment. Just to remind you, Parliament has to sit and approve all these ministers, starting with the Vice President and the Prime Minister. We thank you so much for watching. It's UBC News. Let's now move on with other stories. President Yoweri Museveni proposed an export for a step minister in his new cabinet, an idea that was overwhelmingly supported by the NRM Parliamentary Caucus